We're going to continue
Yeah.
with the film review.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, we had some unbelievable defensive performances or performances in the second half where we're like, why would you look like this in the first half, and then why in the second half was it so different? And this, of course, was one of those games here.
Well, just general topic. Is that a sign of you of good coaching when you can adjust like that in the second half?
Definitely.
Because, unfortunately, that means that things weren't going very well in the first half.
Right.
But the reality is in the NFL, you're going to get punched in the mouth.
Exactly.
And sometimes how you react is more impressive than what happened before that.
100%. I think, adjustments, right, in the second half, certainly. There's certain teams we know that they're good at figuring out what was being done, how they were being attacked, and now we need to go to plan B or change our plan to a degree. There's that. There's also a bunch of coaches who hold things for the second half where they go, I didn't do this in the first half because I just wanted to give them 2 or 3 things in the second half that they couldn't prepare for at halftime because they're good at adjusting, right? And I wanted to kind of throw this at them out of nowhere. And then I think the third thing on top of that is your players. And that'll be a little bit of here the Rams situation, because it's not that the Rams changed up a whole lot here in the second half of this football game, as we know, or as we're going to discuss. The Lions made a lot of big plays in the first half. But there's a little bit in the second half of like, I think the Rams D-line, they went in there and they were like, hey, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse, Byron Young, Kobe, where the hell were you guys in the first half?
Right.
They're throwing the ball, and he's got all day to throw. Are you going to man up and start getting some pressure and all that too? And I think there's that element too of like when you got a talented team, guys can feel they've underperformed and go into half and go, I got to turn it up a notch here. And it felt like that a little bit in this one as well.
Well, let's show the both sides of it here, because we got the Jameson Williams 31-yard touchdown that we're going to start with, and then we're going to kind of show how the Rams defense came together with a couple of plays in the second half. But this one, Chris, it's right before halftime. Detroit's already winning the game, and it's a 1st and 10, which Detroit, they like to be aggressive sometimes when you least expect it.
Yeah, exactly right. They are. I mean, you got to be always aware of aggressive with Detroit. And I think the thing that I would take away from the first half of the game, and really in the game as a whole, the Rams did not want to pressure Detroit. They did not want to blitz 5 or 6, and we're going to break it down. I know you got numbers and everything to back up my points, right? But I think the theme of the game a little bit was like, no. Let's keep 7. Let's keep 8 guys back in coverage. Let's not let Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs in the flat or with a screen have a ton of space, and then they make one guy miss, and all of a sudden it's off to the races, right? I think that was the approach the Rams played early. Now, early in the first half, what I think they were not as great at, the front 4 wasn't great. I do think they became a little too predictable with their zone coverages play after play. It was like, no, wait, we just saw they're going to know this is coming. You're doing this like 2 out of every 3 plays, quarter, half, whatever it might be, right? And I think that led to the Rams adjusting a few things in the second half. But really, like we talked about on the Monday podcast, it was 4-man rush. It was, if they blitzed, it was 1 blitzed, 1 dropped. So it's still a 4-man rush because they wanted to keep people in the back end. And it was a lot of soft zone coverage. And I thought when I watched the game in real time, I went, man, the Lions are being surgical. They're destroying them. Going back and watching, I think, on film, you realize, I don't know if it was as surgical as I thought.
Right.
You had the Aiden Hutchinson interception, right, that led to a big play and doing that, right? And then you had a huge crossing route by Amon-Ra St. Brown on the next touchdown drive where he got like 50-something yards.
Yeah. And
then we're going to have the play that I'm going to show you here in a minute where they make a few throws, but then a big play to cap it off. And that was really the theme of the first half. And, of course, that stopped in the second half because of some of the changing of the coverages. I think tightening up the zones a little bit. They dabbled in man coverage a little bit more in the second half. And the front 4 dominated in the second half. I think those were things that jumped out to me here more than anything.
Which they needed them to, because I went back after you said, man, it felt like they played a lot of coverage. They weren't trying to bring a lot of people. I think the Lions had 42 dropbacks. If you really watch them, the Rams only brought a true pressure, like a true 5-man, one time a 6-man, I think 4 out of the 42.
Exactly.
Which in today's NFL, that's nothing.
It's crazy. It's
nothing.
crazy.
They'll throw in a sim pressure. There's one time where they'll have the slot corner. He'll walk up to cover the tight end and he'll blitz, but they'll drop someone else out.
To end.
Right, exactly. So the true blitzes, I mean, 4 out of 42 is not
that low,
which means these guys got to get home.
Exactly,
you can't let Jared Goff just sit back there and bake a cake.
I think it tells you when you see a game like that and those numbers like that are so overwhelming, it takes you to go, wait, this was their theme. They thought their front seven, which we'll say, and we said a little bit on the Tuesday live pod, right, where the Broncos front seven's crazy fast, right? The Rams are crazy fast.
Yep.
The Houston Texans are crazy fast. I would say those are the 3 fastest front sevens in football. And Detroit couldn't run the ball, even with numbers advantages, because the chaos and the speed of the front seven of the Rams was just too much for more of a bigger, plotting Detroit Lions offensive line, and they couldn't figure it out and block guys, and it became an issue.
Well, let's look at this play.
Yeah, let's look at this play. Here we go. It's right before the half, right? I mean, we're at a point here where
6 seconds.
It's 17-14 Lions. And what I want to say, and my theme, and one of the things I told you and you saw in my notes, again, this is quarter, half coverage. Quarters here, right here. It's just quarters. 2 guys playing quarters coverage. This is half. He's playing cover 2. He's going to go this way. This guy's kind of going to disrupt this guy when he releases off the ball, and then he's going to look for somebody in the flat or somebody here short, right? But these 2 guys here are kind of responsible for these 2 guys here, all right?
Amon-Ra and Jameson.
Amon-Ra and Jameson.
Kind of surprising.
And exactly right. It's a little scary. And my point of showing this is, they were a little too predictable, I thought, with some of their zone coverages, calling it a little too much. You could see soft zone coverages as well. And if you're going to be this predictable against an aggressive team like the Lions, they're going to gash you eventually. And you got to be careful about playing quarters versus this guy right here. Jameson Williams is officially the fastest receiver in the NFL. There's nobody that can run like Jameson Williams. If we watch other receivers and then we turn on the film and watch Jameson Williams, you go, oh my gosh, like this is another gear, right? I just watched Green Bay and Christian Watson before this, who I think's fast as hell, right? And I sat there and went, he's not like this guy. Okay, so they're going to run a play here where because of this quarters and they know it's here, right? Goff is going to drop back. He's kind of going to look over here just to make sure this safety stays over here. But it's almost like an old West Coast play. And I told you before we started the show, Brett Favre used to do this with Antonio Freeman and Mark Chmura. But Chmura would be what Amon-Ra St. Brown does. Go up here and just kind of hook up right in front of this safety so he stays here.
That's to hold him, right?
That's just to hold him. Keep him there so he doesn't get deep, because really we want Jameson Williams to kind of attack Kobe Durant's inside shoulder here, and then we want him to take it over the top. And this safety won't know what's coming because he's worried about Amon-Ra St. Brown, who he's already seen catch a bunch of balls. So he's going, wait, they might throw to him here in this situation. So go ahead, play the next picture there, Petey boy. So you see it here. You can see Amon-Ra gets off good. You can see this is cover 2 over here, just like I said, right? They're playing cover 2. And then over here, it's kind of like it ends up, quarters, as we talk about, ends up being man-to-man almost in a lot of ways. You got a guy in the flat. That's the quarters coverage thing. But you could see here, again, Amon-Ra is getting ready to break down and going to cut in here. And, of course, the safety is going to start getting flat-footed. But within that already, you can tell, gosh, if he goes here and goes here, this is already trouble with this guy running. All right, so let's go to the next picture. You could see Goff is looking over there. And then, boom, look at what we got. Amon-Ra breaking. The safety over here going, I need to stop him on this in cut. And now you got a Kobe Durant who's outside leverage with no inside help. And you can see here now, and I believe this is McCullough, he's going, I know, we've seen this play before. I'm worried about it. See, and this was all window dressing where they had him go upfield just to keep him here. Right?
And I think McCullough's filling in for Quentin Lake right now.
McCullough's filling in for Quentin Lake, and he's playing
He's
good,
playing
though.
really well.
He really is.
That's a tough spot for anyone.
It's a tough spot. Exactly right. And then this right here, and I mean, Jared Goff throws an unbelievable ball in the back of the end zone that just takes everybody out of the play. Go to finish it off, Pete. Boom, next play, next picture. You see there, I mean, it's walk-in. It's as easy as it gets. Jameson Williams is the most, I think, most explosive downfield threat in the game. Right, I would even put him in front of Jamar Chase, as you know. I think he's got 3 rockets up his ass. I don't think he can run with Jameson Williams, but that was kind of the theme of the first half. Front 4-man rush, wasn't getting home, wasn't doing a whole lot, and predictable soft zones where it felt like Detroit was very comfortable and they made like I said, big plays, really. It wasn't necessarily surgical. It was big chunk plays that put them in position to score. And when they got down there close, of course, they punched it in for touchdowns.
So then in the second half, the adjustments.
Right.
This was a huge 3rd and 9 in the third quarter, Chris. Detroit's leading 24-20. So the Rams is like a little bit of a, it's early, but it felt like a gotta-have-it moment or gotta-get a stop here.
It definitely does. And I think you're looking at it here, too, and like you said, third quarter, they know I think they got to start changing it up a little bit. It's been a little too predictable. We got to give them some different looks. And, I mean, look at the alignment right here.
The line of scrimmage is totally different.
Looks nothing like what we just saw. Okay, and then within the beauty of this, again, this is only going to end up being a 5-man pressure. They're going to basically bring this whole side here.
Right.
This whole side. And these two guys are going to drop out. And they're going to play a little zone. But within all of that, like, what you have to do here to make this happen and protect this is you basically have to tell the whole line, hey, forget about these two guys and everybody slide over here. Or at least 4 out of the 5 slide, and Jahmyr Gibbs, you get 1 more, right? But they're probably looking at this going, wait, they're not going to bring 5 to a side. 5 to a side is something that happens like once or twice a year. 5 blitzers to one side? So I doubt they really thought that would happen. So let's go to the next picture, Pete. Next picture, you're going to see Jared Goff gets the ball.
They really did.
Okay, there you go. Braden Fisk, Jared Verse dropped out, right? Kobe Turner, who was over here, he's just looping over there just to keep some people. And you got 4 defenders. It's hard to see in the picture. They're all right there. Jahmyr Gibbs is going, wait, this guy's not blocked. I got to go help him. He's getting up into Jared Goff's face. But within that, we turned away another guy who's coming off the edge that's going to get home scot-free. And also Jared Goff feels that, and I think he knows, wait, we don't have enough people over there. So he's trying to think, I got to throw the ball quick and get it out of my hands. And because of that, they just throw a little, let's go to the next picture, Pete. They're going to go to an out route to Amon-Ra St. Brown where they try to clear it out, but you could see zone, his eyes are there, and he can kind of see Jared Goff throwing. So it's 3rd and 9. He stops, booms, rally, makes the tackle.
Right.
If Jared Goff could do it again, this is what he would do. Right.
That's where the void is from all the pressure.
The 5-man pressure. But I'm guessing,
that's hard to see.
That's tough, too, because he's probably going, wait, there's 5 guys over there. They'll maybe bring 4. One's going to drop out and be underneath that slant, right? But that's where brilliant Mike Shula, defensive coordinator, kind of does something that you don't expect. And this was the first time all game, in my opinion, that it was a true 5-man pressure. I might have missed one maybe in the first half. Again, I'm trying to watch a lot of games and film, so sometimes I zoom through.
There were not many.
Okay, so
not many.
I mean, it felt like it was the first true 5-man pressure, one of the first few change-ups of the game in general. And then from here on out, like I said, not that they reinvented the wheel, but when they played zone, it felt like they didn't play it so far back, like we showed in some of the first clip of Jameson Williams. It kind of all moved up a little bit. And then on top of that, they did sprinkle in some man-to-man coverage. And that's, to me, that's one of my problems with the Rams that I worry about, right? Like when the 49ers beat them early in the year with Mac Jones, it was just zone every play. And good offensive coordinators, good quarterbacks are like, fine, play zone. It's cool, but I'll figure it out, and we'll find a hole, and boom, we'll just surgically destroy you. And just the little wrinkles of changing up the zones and just throwing in a man coverage every now and then threw Detroit off in a big way. And as we know, it threw the offense away, and then, of course, the L.A. Rams offense started to catch on fire, and it just was like they couldn't be stopped on the other side of the ball.
So our last play is exactly that, sprinkling in man coverage. Right. And this is one early in the fourth quarter, about 12 minutes left. Now, Detroit is trailing 34-24. So this is when the game had completely flipped. The Rams are now in control. Detroit's at about the midfield. And like you said, Chris, Goff is a guy that when he's given time and it's against zone, he can pick you apart. But on this play, not only did they flip to man coverage, the front 4 got home.
Front 4 got home. It happened a lot, right? Kobe Turner had moments of taking over the football game. That was impressive. We know the 2 edge guys are damn good. Jared Verse popped a lot in the second half, whether he was collapsing the pocket, doing whatever. And like I told, changing the coverages, sprinkling man-to-man, a few combo coverages too that I just would like to add to it, to where it was like we play man on the backside, and then everybody else is playing zone on the front side, right? The backside corner and maybe the backside linebackers man-to-man on the back coming out of the backfield. Everybody else is playing zone. Those little change-ups right there gave them issues. And this is where to me, like a lot of cool things here, because they're making it, first off, they're going to make it look like it's cover 3. I don't think, first off, teams usually don't play man-to-man off coverage looking like this,
right.
okay?
And this is a first down.
And this is first down, right? And they're a team that, I'm telling you, they know they play zone a lot, right? They play zone. Also, within this, you're going to see that he's going to roll to the deep. He's going to kind of roll down. And I think with Jared Goff, with the things and the clues he's getting, context clues, he's going, oh, I'm going to get cover 3. And throughout the game, they have found crossers, in cuts. I mean, the game starts with Jamison Williams almost catching a ball and going, oh, gosh, he almost went to the house. Amon-Ra St. Brown, huge pass play, right, that he had. He caught the ball in a crossing route, turned up the sideline, did that. So the Rams are like, we've had enough of the middle of the field crap. We've had enough. And they're basically the Lions going to run these two guys on deep posts, clear it out, and they're got Amon-Ra St. Brown coming over the middle. But let's go to the next play here. Next picture, Pete. Sorry, not next play. My bad. And you're going to see Goff drops back, all right? You're going to see now, right now, it looks okay.
Yeah,
but it's
the
just
initial
started.
first
But this
second.
guy up top
that is
here
Byron Young.
Byron Young's going to start getting around the edge in a hurry here, all right? But now you're seeing here a little bit, okay, wait, we thought this was cover 3, but this safety right now is going to come down and be a robber. So they're like, we've had enough of the middle of the field crap. We're not going to let it happen. You can see here, soft man here, soft man here. They're going to run with it. We got man on Jahmyr Gibbs on the back here. We got an extra guy here who's man with Montgomery out of the backfield if he comes out. But we got man on Amon-Ra running the cross, and we're going to have a guy that drops in the middle. Go ahead, Pete. Next picture. As you see here, Goff now, who looked to the post, basically he's looking to the post just going, I just want to clear it out so I can run, throw the ball to Amon-Ra coming over the middle. But look over the middle. Two guys, got a safety down in front of them, got the corner trailing him, nothing there at all. And our man, like you said, Byron Young has beat Penei Sewell in quite a hurry.
Big trouble.
Gets around the edge. Goff knows he's got to get the ball out of his hands, and he kind of just throws it right here, throws it away. I don't know if there's one more picture, but if there is, nothing amazing happens. But that's the beauty of the Rams. The Rams, if they can do this right here, just a little bit, and sprinkle in these man-to-man coverages, I do think it's enough to confuse or make the quarterback pat the ball a few extra times and all that. But all in all, the pressure was just better by the front four. The mixing of the coverages was big. And within that just made Goff hold the ball just a tick longer than he had to in the first half. And like we talked about, like you said, the studs up front finally started to get home and beat those guys in some of those one-on-one matchups.
It feels like from Chris Shula, calculated risk on this.
A little bit.
Because Amon-Ra in this game had 17 targets. He went for 164. Jameson got his. So they were like, you know what? We're going to take that away. Let's see if the rush can get home and beat us somewhere else. And there's really nothing else for Goff to do on this play. Nowhere else to go.
It's just amazing how in the first half it was so easy in some ways. And the second half, everything was hard. And even their touchdown drive, as they're down by 14, right? And again, the Rams are a little bit in like, hey, we just want to make you work, and we're not going to play our normal defensive mode. But the fact that they made it so hard on the Lions in the second half was really incredible. And, like I said, the big thing was the Rams were not going to blitz and put their secondary in compromising positions for the most part of the day. They were going to have guys back there and try to limit some of those plays, and just a little change up in the second half really, with the defensive line whooping ass, helped their football team out.
It's looks like that make me think at least Chris Shula is going to get some interviews for head coaching jobs. I don't know if he'll get a job.
Yeah,
but like we talk about him and Jesse Minter and Jeff Hafley all the time.
He's head coaching material, right?
Yeah.
I would certainly vouch for that. I've been around Mike Shula enough in my life and been around him to know. And like we talk about, there's certain guys you meet and you just go, this guy can be a head coach. Like he's got it. The presence, the way he talks and how he looks you in the eye, all of that type of stuff. Yeah, I think Shula's definitely got some of that. Yo. Thanks for watching, homies. We are now in the NFL season here on Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
Hit subscribe to get our weekly picks, game recaps, film deep dives, and much, much more.
Thanks again for watching. Subscribe, rate, review. Peace out. You know where to find us.